And then between the other 20%, it was moderate to minor. And then, you know, the most complained about, I guess, thing that they said was streets would be blocked. They had difficulty accessing their home. There were delays in transit, but we also had several other comments like negative impacts, such environmental impacts, such as debris, silt, and mold as a result of this flooding. Some folks were concerned about accidents related to the slippery roads or hidden obstacles that might be in the water, even though the signage that the road department is kind enough to put up, they were concerned about limbs, other debris that might pose a hazard to their vehicles, impassable driveways, and then we had a few, again, who lived at the foothill that said damage to personal property. The reason for me coming and speaking to the council is not to point the finger and say that Mount Sterling is not doing enough. That's definitely not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to open up a conversation to see if there are some economical things that could be done to resolve this problem. I know that there was, prior to me moving into the neighborhood, I moved in 2011, I know that there was a very expensive and very extensive study that was done by the Corps of Engineers to try to analyze this problem and to see what could be done. I'm no engineer, of course, just a resident. But when I ask our residents what type of actions could be taken to try to mitigate the flooding in our neighborhood, some of them said clearing the debris from Hingston Creek, both upstream and downstream, might have some positive effects. Whenever the floodwaters do get high and the road is flooded out, it's happened, I think, 3 times this year where they've had to put barricades to make sure that cars and pedestrians don't try to traverse that area. There have been rather large logs, limbs, and other debris that have traveled and collected there on Locust. Some folks have said an improved drainage system might help. I don't know what that would entail. I have no earthly idea. Other folks said flood barriers might be helpful, or widening the bridge that bottlenecks at Tenney Avenue and Locust Street. The main concerns that each one of the residents expressed to me was that children and pedestrians during the high waters, there could be a danger to those individuals. Again, some of our elderly neighbors have said that EMS response time could be impacted by the road being blocked. They would have to take alternate routes to get there. Sometimes we don't know that the road has been blocked until you get to the very bottom of the foothill and then you happen to see the signage. But those are the statements from our neighbors. I don't know if you all need these for your records or not. And I have a more formal letter, but it would have taken far longer than 5 minutes to read that, and I do respect your all's time. I know that you've got quite a bit on the agenda. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I've been on the council longer than anybody.
Yes, sir.
We're about a week and a half short of the big flood in '96. That was Derby weekend, and that was the start of it. Now, I don't know how many studies we've gone through with the Corps of Engineers, the state. The only way you're gonna stop it is spend $20 million. And we don't have 20 million, and they won't give it to us. I think, Nathan, wasn't like the last call 10, 12 million, and that was
And they still
10 years ago, and they couldn't guarantee it then.
That was to drop floodwaters 1 foot.
So
1 foot, that wouldn't stop the flooding that we're having.
their suggestion, and I may be talking out of turn, but I believe, I don't know if you were on the council then or not, it would be cheaper to buy the people out that are being flooded and relocate them. I mean, that's basically what they said.
So your bottom line comes down to, if you're gonna spend whatever X amount million, the damages, the way the federal government looks at this, the way the damages that are being caused are in the thousands. They're not gonna spend 15 million, whatever it is, when the damages from a flood equal thousands. It's just a matter of numbers. On top of that, folks have built-in floodplains. That is something that the federal government identifies. There are designated floodplains. When you build or buy, you can't build anymore, but when you buy in those areas, you understand the risk you're taking, that area will flood. It's just a matter of, it's not if, it's when. And we have, over the past decade, seen an increase in flooding. But there's increase. Frankfurt was flooded, Louisville was flooded, Owensboro's flooded. Everyone is experiencing flooding. Our numbers are not any different than anyone else's. I will defend our public works. They are in that creek, clearing that creek on a monthly basis, going under those bridges, pulling out all the debris to make sure that there's nothing that would impact the flow of water. They're pulling out mattresses, tires. They're doing whatever they can to make sure water flows freely. People look at us and wonder why we are so anal about trash. It's because we don't want it going down the drains and clogging up drains and further impacting the flooding problems we're having. So I understand your concerns in the community. It floods on my road. Sometimes I have to take an alternate route. It floods in the county. There's just flooding issues. And we don't have the millions of dollars to come up with a fix, as I said, when the damages are in the thousands. We have, and there are programs where the government will buy people out because they would prefer they don't live in floodplains. And those opportunities are there, and we can assist homeowners who are in those areas with trying to apply for those programs that are available. But it's a matter of them wanting to do it. They can't be forced to do it. So we are trying. The message would be, we are trying. I am as frustrated as anyone when it floods. Every time it floods, I'm right out there with our public works guys doing whatever I can to move limbs, debris, keep people from driving through. I know there's concerns about citizens being impacted, but people drive right around those barriers. We do everything we can to try to get the word out, to try to make sure people are safe. So I appreciate and understand your concerns. I would hope that you would relay to those you're representing that we are doing everything we possibly can to try to address the flooding situation. We don't have the money to build a $15 or $20 million dam. It's just not there. Now, we have applied for money for green sinks. We're moving forward with those programs. In the Preble Park area, within the next few years, you'll see a green sink which will hold overflow waters as Hingston goes around the Bark Park area. We've identified other areas along Hingston where green sinks can be placed, and they're basically like retention basins. So we've moved forward with that. We're spending money out of our general budget to do those studies, to try to do what we can. But the federal government just doesn't allow the city to go and start digging in the creek, digging into areas. They own that water. The state owns the water. It's managed through the federal government and the state. They make the decisions on how water flows, not us. All we can do is advocate for it. Additionally, we have applied for another grant to fix the creek, what am I trying to say? On Main Street, across from the baggers and draggers there. Yeah, where it's draining in that area and it's washing out. That's a state-maintained road. The city is going into our general budget to pay for repairs along that route. That should be being done by the state, but we are doing that. So we are doing everything we possibly can. And it hurts me that there is a thought in this community that we're not doing enough, because we're doing everything we possibly can. When it rains, you will find me out there with boots on, trying to address the situation. You'll find our police out manning roadblocks. You'll find Public Works out cleaning that creek. We're doing everything we can. So please pass to those you represent. I'm happy to sit down individually in their living rooms and speak to them about the issues they're having. When it rains, if the water is coming up, I will come to their home and do whatever I can to address the flooding situation. I am trying, this council is trying, this city is trying. And it hurts to think the public thinks we've turned their back on them.
I don't think
But
that that's a fair
that-
characterization of what the public thinks. And with all respect that you are certainly due, I think that they are unaware of any of this information at all. And
Well,
I can see that it's something that is a huge frustration for you. But I also want to be really clear, bringing this up is not an attack on the city at all. It's something that the residents, they have no earthly idea about how the inner workings of city government are. They don't know about grants that might be at our disposal. They don't know, they certainly know what the Public Works do because they're out there. As soon as it starts raining, they are vigilantly maintaining that. But I don't think anyone in that neighborhood has any concept of the expense of what has been petitioned before or anything else like that. They do not know.
Please pass to those you represent. We talk about these issues in every meeting. These issues are being talked about in the city council. We have applied for grants. We are doing everything we can. Every month, on every Tuesday night at 7 p.m., the public is welcome to come here and see what we're doing.
Okay, I would be happy to take that message back to them.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
We are, I was just wanting to say that I think the mayor's done an amazing job. And the green seat thing, really try, if you want to learn about that, it isn't gonna fix it, but it is a way to move forward, and it's definitely getting the grant for Main Street. I mean, so we are actively, we understand it's a problem. We know it's not 100% fixable, but we really are trying to do our part. So thank you for bringing it to our attention, and we do ask that you tell them that we are trying.
I would be happy to.
Thank
Thank you all
you.
again for your time. It's a pleasure to see all of you all.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have a public hearing for the usage of our road aid funds. You can see in your packets, or I hope that it was in your packets. Our anticipated receipts are $176,688.25, which is much higher than we usually get. So we're just opening up at this time any members of the public who wish to comment on the proposed use of those funds. I would open up the floor for you. Okay, thank you very much. Item number 4 is the approval of the March 18th, 2025 council meeting minutes. These are in your packet. You've had an opportunity to look at those. We'll just need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by King,
I'll second.
second by Murphy. Any further discussion? Poll the members, please.
Barnes.
Abstain.
Hilton. Aye. King.
Aye.
Murphy. Aye.
Item number 5, March financial reports. These are in your packet for your review. Please bring forward any questions or comments you may have. Right, item number 6 is department head and committee reports. We'll begin tonight by the Chief of Police. Chief Terry Landrum. Good evening, Chief.
Good afternoon. We have Officer McDonald's graduation this Thursday. He'll be back in uniform riding a rookie, which we need to help. Officer Douglason has resigned because of medical issues. He broke a hip last year. It's not healing or he can do his job correctly.
That's effective next Friday, correct?
And who is
Yes.
that?
Douglason, who's the older guy that we hired,
Okay.
is, motor vehicle enforcement. We're interviewing prospective recruits. If you know anybody wants a job, you can let us know. We've got a couple openings right now. Remodel's still going on. The place is a mess right now. We've got everything piled in the center of the We have a simulator here. We'll have it through April the 20th, if anyone wants to use it. Let us know. We're trying to get a few people running through there. 553 calls